Hi everyone. Today we're going to go over how to do an isometric diagram through SketchUp and taking that into Photoshop and rendering it. So we're going to get started here in SketchUp. So I created this really quick plaza, just kind of a square plaza, right? And I just really quickly roughed out these areas, and it's nothing really special, and there's some issues with it, right? But this is just for demonstration. So what we want to do is that we want to export our line work out. So if we go down to our styles, we could do hidden line, right? And if we go down to edit, you can make sure it's edges, and I'm going to do the profiles. You don't always need them, but for this one, I want the profiles, and dashes shouldn't make it to reference, but just in case. So in order to get the view that we want to go to camera, standard, views, and go down to ISO. And actually first make sure it's in parallel projection, and then do standards ISO. And there's our view that we want. And you can save this, right? If we go to view, animation, add scene, create scene, and this saves our scene, right, in case we want to reference it again. So we can save it, right? I'm not going to save the file because I already have a copy of it. So I'm going to go to file, but what we want to do is we want to export a 2D graphic. So file, export, 2D graphic, and let's see, yeah, I've done one before, so just going to name this one 02. And options 10, that seems right? Sometimes this is full scale, or it's some kind of really big, like 100 inches, or by like whatever the proportion is. So make sure it's not anything too big, and if it is, you can just adjust it here. Now I'm actually gonna round it out here to 10 inches, right? And this might be checked, so make sure it's unchecked, and you can do 0.001 to give us a really thin line to work with in Photoshop. And show profiles, we don't want to extend edges, always prompt. Okay, everything should be good. Press OK. And we're going to do, export. And we're going to go into Photoshop, and we're going to be using this entourage in a bit. New, and inches, I'm going to do 10 by 10. Sorry, 10 by 10. And resolution, I'm going to work at 300. You can work at whatever, right? 200, even 150 is okay to work at. It's pretty safe, but I really like working at 300. So create. Let's see. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to open our Linework file, which is this one. That looks good. 300. Okay, everything looks good. Okay, now I'm gonna drag it. Oops. I'm gonna drag it. Sorry. There we go. You can't see it, but we have to select our object here because the line is really thin. So if we drag it down to our file, it's right here, right? So let's let me uncheck this. There we go. I was on auto select, so if you're having issues, make sure that's checked off. And I want to center it here. Let's see if I can get this centered. That looks pretty centered. And as you can see, our line work is here. But what we can do is we can, we don't need this much canvas space, so I kind of went overboard. We can change that. So image, canvas size, and let's do 5 by 5 should be enough. 5 by 5 inches. Yes, proceed. Yeah, that's good. Okay, I'm going to start labeling line work. Background. Yep, should be good. Oh, sorry. Unlock it. Background. Yeah, we have our line work. Good. We have this. Okay, and I'm just gonna make sure that looks centered. Does it? Yeah. Okay. So now what we want to do is we're gonna start putting in patterns and textures into our line work here. And so one of the easiest ones is probably grass, right? So I am going to quickly I'm gonna just show you this once. So I'm gonna start off looking for a grass texture. Let's see, seamless, and let's go here, and you know, you can use anything really, but let's see. That would look good because it's at an angle, right? So actually I might use this one. Let's see if there's anything else. No, let's do this one. And so you can save this, right? So I'm just going to drag it, but if you save it to your library, you can have it for future reference. So that I'm just going to go ahead and drag it, and then I'm going to make it bigger here and cover that area. And actually it's too pixelated, so I'm going to make a pattern out of it. So what we want to do is we want to go to the marquee tool and actually this is too pixelated. Let's choose another one. So I'm going to delete this. So let's see. Trying to go quick, but it's always I get caught up in these things, right? So let's grass texture, grass. Let's try grass meadow texture. Maybe give us a little different. Actually, this looks nice, right? This one looks good. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna drag this one. Yeah, there we go. This one's a little bit better quality. And so I'm gonna put this here and I'm gonna make it smaller. So Control T to make it smaller. And let's see, that looks good, right? The scale's looking good, right? You have to play around with the scale so it doesn't look off too much, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to play around with the scale. I'm gonna do a square with the rectangle tool. I'm gonna make it into a pattern. So edit, define pattern. I'm gonna go G5 because I think I have other G's. So just to make sure, and I'm gonna hide this, right? And I'm gonna click on our line work, and I'm gonna go to the magic wand tool, select this area, and I'm gonna select this area because I want these two areas to be grass. And make a new layer, label it grass, and I'm going to go to the paint bucket and pattern, and here's our grass here, and fill it in, right? And you can see, you can kind of tell our seams, but we can fix that with the clone tool. So if you go down here and use the clone tool, and then if you press Alt on PC, and I believe it's option on Mac, you can select an area, right? And then you just draw over the seams, right? So it basically copies this area, and then you can draw over the seam, so it's a lot nicer, right? So I'm going to do actually this one. You can kind of tell there, so I'm just going to do this area here. There we go. Yeah, and yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so so you can do the same thing with all the patterns, right? You can do one for cement and the pathways and all this. So I already done that. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill it in with the patterns I have. So I'm going to go to Magic Wand, and I'm going to do the benches. So these planter benches here. I'm just going to grab these with the Magic Wand. And again, I did the model very quickly. If I had more time, if I spent more time on it, I would have, cleaned it up even a little bit more. So it'd be quicker to reference our line work, but for now, this works. So new layer, wood benches, planter benches, center, and I'm going to fill it with the pattern I already have. And I made this pattern the same way we did with the grass, right? And that creates that. So now we're having our planters done, right? And so I'm going to do the same thing for this path in the middle here. Back to our line work, select it, new layer, path. I'm going to do C path for concrete, right? C, I'm just trying to code it. And back to our paint bucket, make sure it's in pattern, right? That's how you get that. If you're in foreground, it chooses the color, so pattern. And then I'm going to select a texture that I have here. Actually, let's see if I have something else. That looks good. Okay, sweet. So I have that path. I have my grass. I have my benches, and I'm gonna use a base layer for the planters inside. I don't think it would matter because I'll probably fill it in with vegetation, but just in case, I'm gonna go ahead and do these. Right. I'm gonna put soil, maybe soil base or so. Whatever your naming convention, whatever works for you, that's what you can use. I'm going to use maybe this one. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Soil base. Okay, now I have that. And let's see, what am I missing? Missing these paths, but I'll show you a different technique for those. We're going to do the edges really quick here. This edge. Oops. Back to our line work. Sorry. And Control D to deselect. So there we go. Choose this one, and I'm pressing Shift. I'm sorry, I don't think I mentioned that before. Pressing Shift to select all these areas at once, right? As I click on the area, it'll add it to my selection. And so I'm going to do that. Let's do edges. Edges. Oh, misspelled that. Oh, sorry. Misspelled it. Edges. There we go. Again, paint bucket, pattern. And again, I've done all this. I've done all these patterns, the same method that I showed you in the first with the grass, right? So there we go. We have some good contrast going on with the different materials, right? And I'm gonna do the base now. Magic wand. Let's do new layer, base, right? And I'm just gonna make that black base, right? Oh, sorry. You can have fun with it, right? You can do some other type of base. And actually, should we? No, I'm just going to keep it simple. So foreground, black, right? And there's a black base. Control D to deselect. And let's see, back to our line work. So let's do this this area here. So what I want to do for that area, I want to use a boardwalk texture, so kind of a more wooden, kind of wooden planks, right, along there. So I've, if you do a quick Google search, you can find all sorts of boardwalk textures, right, and plank textures. So I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to bring this up here so we can see what we're doing. Sorry. Oops. Sorry, I have our magic wand here selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of overlay it here to kind of match the scale that we want into this area, right? And I'll probably have to duplicate it, so I'm going to duplicate. There we go. Just once, hide it just for now. And select that layer. And so I'm going to edit, transform, and distort. And let's see, let's do this. Let's see, we could match it, but just me kind of matching it quickly, it looks off already. Let's see. Yeah, you see how it looks off. So I'm just going to try to match it here as much as I can. The scale just looks off, and we don't want the scale to look too off. So there we go. That's starting to feel better, right? If you kind of visualize the pattern getting cut out, it feels better. So let's see, So a couple more tweaks here. I think I have to straighten that out a little. And again, you can spend way more time refining this and making it as perfect as you want. So let's see. It's starting to kind of look like, and it's going along with our lines here, so that's okay. And you know, it's going to be a little off, but again, it's you can spend more time on it. And I'm just gonna copy and paste it and bring it to the back there. And I'm just going to rotate it so it kind of matches our lines here. There we go. That looks good. You know, it's going to it's not we're not going to be able to tell that much, so that's good. And I'm going to duplicate this. Duplicate. Okay. And then I'm going to drag our other pair right there. And actually, it might look off, right? Because it is at a different angle here, so I'm going to rotate it just a little bit here. Let's see. Let's see what that looks like. That might be way off. Let's hide this. Oh, this one. Let's hide it. We're going to do these kind of separately here. Okay, and let's do the other one. Actually, let's see if it's reference okay. I'm trying not to I get caught up in it, so I'm trying not to spend too much time on trying to perfect it, but I get. Okay, for now it's gonna have to do. Let's see, just so we kind of have the same direction, and it's off, but it's gonna have to do for now. And so I am going to group these together. So new group from layers. Let's just name it boardwalk. Okay, and I'm gonna I'm going to go to our Linework. And if you hide this, we can select our two areas and bring back the boardwalk, and we can mask it down here. And there we go. And as you can see, that's a little off, but that's okay. That kind of makes up for that little corner. So yeah, now we have that. And so our last area is our area around, right? Which is, I want it to be kind of a paper texture. So let's do this paper texture here. And again, just the paper texture that I found online. What I want to show you for this one is I'm going to create a pattern, but in order to kind of match the profile of the isometric, right? I'm going to do kind of the same thing, but as we did with the boardwalks, but create a pattern as well. So yeah, I'm going to put it kind of here. That's okay. And I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Distort. And let's see. Actually, I'm going to try to match it here. See what that looks like. Okay, so actually I'm going to go back and I'm going to do that one more time. Sort. Maybe just make it a tad bigger. So let's see. Okay, that's good enough for now. So I'm going to make with the marquee tool, I'm going to make another pattern brush here. So, or pattern texture, I should say. So kind of like the variety going on here. So I'm going to choose this area and edit, define pattern, P2. I'm going to hide this layer for now. And so I'm going to select the Linework, magic wand, select the area, right, going around, and paint bucket, create a new layer. Let's do pavers. pattern. Make sure that's in pattern, and here should be our new texture. And I'm just going to fill it in. And as you can see, it kind of gives us that isometric feel to it, right? Because we did that extra step of distorting the pattern, the original image. So you can see, like, we can see that it's kind of a texture and it's not seamless. And so in order to fix that, we're going to go to the clone tool and make this a little bit bigger here, and let's see if that works. Actually, it might have to be smaller, but I'm just gonna again, Alt or Option on Mac, I believe. I'm just gonna quickly try to get rid of some of these seams, right? And you can still kind of tell, but as long as you try to just blend it in a little bit more, we shouldn't have too much of an issue. It's just getting rid of that rigidness of the seams. Yeah, there we go. You know, and it depends on how you're good you are with the distortion and the texture that you find, how good that texture is. So let's do this. You know, yeah, there we go. I was gonna say, I think we're done, but I saw that spot, and you know, it's not perfect, but. And I'm actually, as you can see, I'm actually going away because I actually like to do this. Select the line work and then do this, right? And then just go over it. If you go back to your patterns, that way you're not bleeding outside your threshold here of your line work. So let's. And I'm spending too much time on it. But that looks pretty good now. I'm just gonna erase. I'm gonna invert this. So if I go back here and I right click, or I go up here, select inverse, and I'm just gonna press delete. It should get rid of anything that's outside of this because we inverted the selection, right? So Control D to deselect. And yeah, and our ISO's coming together, right? It looks pretty good so far. Let's get our, I'm gonna get rid of this. Let's put some of our vegetation, right? So again, if you just Google flower bed PNGs, you can get a bunch, right? And so that's how I got this one. And you can do any vegetation that you want, really. And so I'm going to get rid of the background, blending options, and get rid of the background here. Slide that down. And you know, this is pretty bad quality, but since we're going to scale it down, it doesn't really matter. So Control T, right? To scale it down, or transform and scale it down. And I'm just going to fill in these areas, right? So I'm going to quickly copy and paste these, and you know, you should move these kind of more in the back, so we get that nice feel to it, right? And then if you have your auto select, you can start. If you know where you're clicking, you can kind of quickly start doing this even quicker. So you know, this is getting pretty messy, but we'll group them together, and then we shouldn't have too much of a mess, right? So let's let's group these together. So there we go, press that, and then new group from layers, flower beds, enter, and then we're going to zoom in, and we're going to mask out you know, some of the foliage here. So let's create a new mask, pressing there. Make sure your brush is there. You've got your square selected, and this is black. So let's do this. And actually, you know, my brush is too big right now, I think. Let's, in order to help us, let's overlay it. So yeah, that way we have a better kind of reading of our base information of the line work and the bench here. So see that. And again, you can spend more time just refining it as much as you want, but trying to really cut back on the time we're spending here. So let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, I think that's good enough. So let's move this back to normal. You know, we can clean it up a little bit more, just as we see some of the problem areas. You know, I think it's good enough there. Kind of gives it a nice little effect. Okay, so now we have our flower beds, right? And so let's put in some trees. There's some trees I downloaded, right? I'm going to use the same tree just for the sake of time, but you can have you know, 3 different types of trees. Right? So let's see. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Let's see that go. And so I should have said in SketchUp this is like a 50 by 50. So let's see, that was like 6 feet, 612. You know, I'm gonna make this like about a 15-foot tree, right? Kind of a smaller tree, just because the area is small. So yeah, that looks good. I'm just gonna, just gonna drag it and copy it, right? This one, and then I'll put this one in the back here, and then drag it again, drag and copy there. And I want the back one to be all the way at the back, and let's see, this one should be in the foreground. Yeah, it is. So I'm going to group these, group from layers, trees. And then I'm going to zoom in, and just to blend it in, I'm going to make our mouse, right? And let's do, you know, we can't really see that back tree, so I don't think I'm going to do it for that one. So just going to make a new mask and brush. I'm just going to brush it right up there. Maybe I went too much, maybe like right there, right? And then let's do this one right about there, maybe. Okay, sweet. And so I'm also going to, let's see, I'm just going to change the opacity, right, on each one of them. So let's do 75. That looks pretty good. I'm also going to do that for the flower beds, just because I kind of like the effect. There we go. And I'm wondering if I should do it for the grass. I don't think I am. I'm just going to leave it, the grass, as a nice base ground layer. Okay, let's see. So yeah, it's almost there, right? So what we want to do now is we want to add entourage, right? So I have these people cut out that I've cut out, and again, there's a bunch of PNG sites that you can get people. So just gonna quickly select here, and I'm gonna drag some of these in, right? Control T to scale it down. Let's see. Maybe I want her maybe there. Let's see. Scale down. You know, our bench is about 1.5 feet, so 3 would be double, and then yeah, that seems about right there. Okay. Make this. There we go. Yeah, it seems about right. And so let's do the next one. Control T. See. Gonna move her a little bit. There we go. And then just a couple more. I can probably select a bunch of these. Yeah, I'm gonna try to drag all of them at the same time. See if this works. Nope. Sorry, here we go. Okay, and I'm gonna Control T all of them together. You know, they're not grouped together, they're just all selected, right? So, and I kind of want those here. The people sitting down are smaller already, so I'm just going to select these two. And let's see, we can kind of match them. Yeah, that should be the right height, right? About there. Let's see, where do we want him? Maybe here. And then let's put her maybe here. I like kind of like the contrast to the back, right? That's good. That's good. So a couple more people, just to kind of give us a little bit more variety here, other than people just sitting down. And so, where are my people here? Oh, sorry, kind of froze there. Let's see, where are they? I think they're just off the page here. Sorry, let's, oops. Because I have my auto select as well. So sorry, that's what's been causing the issue. Zoom in. Let's see, oops. What did I do? I might have, yeah. Okay, Control T. Let's see, no. Just maybe a little bit smaller. There we go. Let's put her kind of there. Okay, and then we're gonna move him over here and Control T. Sorry, Control T, and right click and flip them horizontally. And it was kind of hidden in the back there, but that looks pretty good. Maybe let's put him here in the foreground. Yeah, looks pretty good. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Actually, it might be too big. Let's go just a tad bit smaller here, and then auto select again. Might be a little too. Just a tad bit smaller. There we go. Okay, sweet. So we have that. We have our trees. We have all our entourage, right? So basically, we're kind of done, right? So we can get rid of our line work. We can get rid of that, right? Just hide it, and it gives us kind of a nice little edge, right, to the diagram here. And so what I want to do now is I'm actually going to group them, all my people here, and group names, people, and I'm just going to do maybe 75 as well. Change the opacity on them. Yeah. And let's just do some post production here, and we're gonna add some blending layers. So we'll go to your adjustment layer, and new saturation, and we're gonna lighten it up. Yeah, here we go, lighten it up, maybe to 20, and maybe down the saturation. 30. That starts to look pretty good, and we can change the overlay. Let's actually do that. Should have done that first, right? So then our adjustment layers under our properties, we can have a lot more a preview of what's gonna happen to it. So let's do this. I kind of want, wow, it's quite desaturated, right? All the way. So I kind of like that. So, and then let's just lighten it up, maybe 25. Yeah, that's pretty good, right? Yeah, that's looking good. And then one more thing, I want to add maybe a photo layer, a photo filter, adjustment layer, right? And so, it gives us that warm one, but I kind of like using the yellow here. And then if we overlay it, let's see, what else can we do with that? Multiply. Screen looks kind of cool, right? But it might be too light, so I'm just going to overlay it and bring it down, and then just slowly see where I want it. Let's see, maybe I just want a tad, maybe just a touch there. Let's see if that, yeah, and so you can see some of these are like really bright, and that's okay because when you print it, if we ever go back to printing, it'll come out okay. But let's do some burning and dodging. So I'm gonna create a new layer, or BD layer, you can call it, and I'm gonna fill it with fill 50% gray. Press OK, and overlay, or should we overlay? And so if we use our dodge and burn tools, we can if we use our burn tool, and this is quite a big brush, so I'm just gonna kind of go over the whole thing, and then I'll refine, right? So exposure, yeah, let's see, yeah, you can see how it darkens it, right? Just gonna darken it a little bit, just one brush over, and then we can go down here a little bit. There we go. Make that smaller, and I might darken some of these areas, right? And maybe some of this. And I might be getting too dark here. Let's quickly go over some of these areas. And yeah, and let's just add some with the dodge tool. Let's add some highlights, back there. Kind of like that. Maybe there, right? To give it more atmospheric feel. And maybe I went too dark, right? Maybe I went too dark, so maybe I do lighten that up a little bit there, and maybe lighten up some of these entourage here. And I still feel like this is kind of too intense, right? This kind of area here. So I'm just gonna lighten that. Maybe your plunger beds need to be lighter. Yeah. And maybe it's just the trees. So let's play with our tree layer here. Trees, and I'm gonna create a new mask for it. Actually, I'm just gonna see. So I thought, yeah, I'm just mess with opacity. So let's just mess around with more opacity. No, let's see what happens. I kind of like the effect that. Never mind. That looks good. I think it looks good. But you can see like these little adjustments just make a huge difference, right? So see, that's kind of our original, right? Or that starts to be something else, right? So let's see, yeah. And I think that's good for now. I'm just gonna maybe mess around with this, and maybe let's see what it looks like a little darker. No. So I'm just gonna go back to 25, maybe. No, I think that's it. I think I like it as is. And so, you can also go back and like do some more shadows and stuff like that. But I like the feel of it now. Zoom out, and so yeah, that's our diagram, isometric diagram, and we can do some labels and start to finalize it for a presentation or whatever we're going to use it for, right? So quickly, we're going to do labels. Let's do, photo, isometric diagram. Maybe make this bigger. Let's see, 24. Perfect. Let's put that there. And of course, I have it let's make it black. I had it like a dark green. You know, it might be too big, so let's do 18. Yeah, that looks good. And then yeah, let's just label some features, right? Let's do paths. Let's do seating. And let's do, what else do we have? Maybe lawn areas, right? So lawn areas, misspelled that, lawn areas, and of course I should have made all these smaller, so let's do like a 12 point maybe, yeah. And, sorry. So, you know, maybe I don't want this heavy, right? Let's do like a regular, that looks pretty cool. Right, lawn areas, so what was it, 12? Did we go 12 and regular? And then let's do this one, 12, oh, 14, 12 and regular. Yeah, and then, you know, we can label him there. Maybe the paths get labeled here, right? And then one area is going to label here, right? And then maybe you want one more that says plaza, right? Plaza. Maybe it's underlined, right? To kind of give it that, or maybe, you know, I'm not a big fan of the underline, so maybe it's just bold, or yeah, maybe it's bold and it's a different color. So let's do, you know, like a magenta, which is color I always use, right? So let's, you know, and it might be too bright, so let's bring it down a little bit there. There we go. That's starting to look good, and maybe we'll just make it bigger so it is noticeable, right? So plaza, gonna kind of line it up, maybe to the isometric here. There we go. Plaza, right? And so yeah, so I'm just gonna draw some lines with our path tool, and yeah, pen tool, and make sure this is on shape, and quickly draw some lines here. So our lawn areas, right? Maybe get a little, there we go. And then we can change that, right? So maybe, what's looking good? Maybe 5 or so, maybe 4 or 3. Let's see 3. You know, 3 is good enough. I'm just gonna move it down here and maybe center it more towards in the middle here, and I'm just gonna move this there and give it some space. So let's do the other ones quickly. So let's see, new layer, and I'm just gonna seeding here and here and here. So yeah, what was it? Did we use 3 or 4? 3, I think. Yeah, use 3, and then again, one more. Make a new layer, and then you know, for the paths, I kind of want to show that it's these and these, and then yeah. So let's do this. Let's do this to the center there, and then back this way, and then 3 pixels, and yeah, I kind of do want that extra line, so I'm gonna quickly do this, right, and then just quickly do something like that, and it goes at 3. There we go. Oh, sorry, and then kind of like, you know, you can spend more time refining it, but for here, just gonna put this up. Okay, sweet. And then yeah, so now we have our areas, and I am going to multiply them, kind of like that. Kind of blends in a little bit more, right? Let's see. I'm still not liking this. So maybe I'll get rid of it. It doesn't look right. So maybe I'll just hide it and just keep it there. Right? And then let's see what else. I'm just gonna add a shape, little circle at each end. Let's do that here. Round circle. Let's just do ellipse tool here, and it looks good. That probably looks good. And just gonna change it to here. Just gonna do a black one. There we go. And why is it not good? Sorry, oh yeah, of course. Sorry, I had the stroke here, so no stroke, and I just want black. And then if our properties are right here, it's still too big, so 0.08 maybe. Nope. That's our transform. Where's our size? For the sake of time, I am just going to transform it down. Yeah, no, there it is. So you can change it there, right? So our scale and probably the size, but I just want to quickly get little points here. And then, of course, I'm missing 2. There we go. So I'm just copying and pasting these, right? And I actually like to do this labeling in Illustrator, but for this demonstration, we're just working in Photoshop and showing you that you can do that here as well. So yeah, so this is it, and I'm going to move this down here. Yeah, and this is our isometric, yeah, and it's ready for presentation, right? And so I hope this helps with any of your projects. And if you want to highlight a certain area, you can also do this for different areas of maybe a greater master plan, or if you just want to show the detail of one specific area, you can use this type of process to create diagrams for it, right? So yeah, this concludes our workshop for SketchUp to Photoshop for an isometric diagram. So I hope it helps, and thank you so much for your attention, and I'll see you next time.